In a world that's ever so connected, it's imperative to look beyond just our own setting. We now put the spotlight on the global banking platform as Bill Borden, Corporate Vice President, Financial Services, Microsoft, and Sashikumar Sreedharan, the Managing Director of Microsoft India, give us an insight on how some of the world's largest financial services firms are reinventing in the digital era.
Over the past 2 years, we have experienced dramatic disruption around the world. Companies in every industry have turned to digital technologies for the resilience and agility necessary to survive. The urgency for the BFSI industry to transform at scale has never been greater. In response, we at Microsoft have accelerated our efforts to support and co-innovate with customers and partners, both for now and for the long term, with industry-specific cloud offerings that can provide a launchpad for future innovations. Hello, and a warm welcome to all our viewers for the Microsoft Future Ready Industry Week for banking and financial services. Today, we will delve deep into the important topics like how banks can deliver differentiated customer experience, empower employees, manage risk and cybersecurity, while enabling innovation and growth. My name is Shashi Sreedharan. I'm the Managing Director for Microsoft in India, and I have the distinct pleasure of being here today and kicking off today's event with a chat with Bill Borden. Bill is our CVP and Microsoft's worldwide leader for the financial services industry. To start our conversation, Bill, from your vantage point, working with our global financial services customers, what are some of the key trends that you are seeing? What is top of mind for CXOs today in financial services?
Hi, Sashi. Thanks for having me. It's great to be with you. Top of mind topics. It's a really exciting time in terms of what's going on in the industry as we all are facing and are aware of today. Prior to the pandemic, there were certain activities going on that were driving acceleration in the industry with fintech and regtech and the investment in technology associated with smaller firms actually looking at the value chain and pushing the institutions to actually think differently. And certainly as we've gone through the pandemic, that certainly put a focus on disruption as well, but also a focus on thinking about efficiency and learning about how to move fast and at pace. And the industry did a remarkable job moving through the pandemic. When you think about, bringing 90+% of the workforce at home and still having the industry operate on a daily basis 24/7 was rather remarkable. But the industry did learn that things can be done quicker, things can be done at scale, things can be done at pace, and still within the security, compliance, and control and regulation frameworks that are needed and important to support the industry's approach to delivering services. So the acceleration coming out of the pandemic now in terms of digital transformation is on everyone's agenda and it's top of mind. It's a heightened awareness both around what can be delivered in terms of financial services, but it's also put a focus on environmental and social justice issues. But it's clearly cemented the value of what digitization and digital channels and the idea of scale and agility means to providing products and services differently to the marketplace to create value. So now, what does that mean going forward? So there's very, very clear focus on the customer demand and the customer expectations. And what does that mean in terms of engagement levels and how to deliver products and services differently to customers and how to create differentiated experiences around that? A key to that is also thinking about the workforce and talent and how do you create workforce transformation and collaboration so that workforces across front, middle, and back office can deliver information much more quickly and timely and do it in a proactive manner based on data and insights. Security and compliance also has to remain at the core in terms of delivering these new capabilities. And the boardroom's attention is really to focus on not how to just take costs out of running the business, but how to shift the investment plan. As you all know, and as we've all seen, right, the majority of technology budgets has been focused on kind of running the institution and continuing to invest in security and compliance. And a smaller portion of those budgets have really been focused on innovation. How do we change that? How do we actually look at how do we invest more in innovation by taking costs out and creating efficiencies, not just efficiencies around spend, but process and business efficiencies. So the financial services industry all up is very energized coming out of the pandemic to look at digital transformation and prioritizing aspects of that will support that the individual institution's approach to the strategy that they want to deliver in the region that they're in.
Thank you, Bill. That gives us a real detailed, but at the same time, a top-level view to priorities that the CXOs are dealing with. Now that we know what is top of mind for CXOs, what, in your opinion, would be the role of technology in addressing these challenges and also monetizing on the related market opportunity?
Right. Speed, agility, time to value, all things top of mind in terms of parameters for how organizations are going to compete. And in order to do that, you've got to have a plan for how you're going to use technology to support your strategies. Competition obviously is increasing in terms of the battle for customers and the battle for delivering new products and services. You've got to be able to read what's happening in the marketplace to be able to adjust in terms of where you offer products and services and how you offer them and decisions that you make around the customer's products and services that you can offer to them in a secure and compliant and regulatory driven environment. So a big focus on that is the idea of how to accelerate, right, this notion of digital transformation, right? How do financial organizations think about doing that? Or not just doing it from the standpoint of taking costs out, but from the standpoint of really prioritizing and determining what the value proposition that is unique that they can generate and how they can bring that to market quickly. We believe that a way to do that is this acceleration model around thinking about tech intensity. And so it's a term that we use with customers a lot around how do you combine and think about your technology and your approach to technology. And the equation that we look at is really the ability to adopt technology, the capability of technology, and the multiplying effect of adoption and capability, all centered around trust. And trust that there's the ability to move forward with the technology, there's the ability to move forward with it in a way that is trusted and is secure and compliant and holds to privacy standards around data. And along with that technology intensity, there has to be obviously a focus on people and culture, right? You can't drive the amount of change and the speed and agility without thinking about the culture and the change management approach to what needs to change in terms of how people think about it and approach the use of technology. And the culture change is as we all know, is equally, if not more important than the technology itself, right? We've all heard that term, right? That culture eats strategy for lunch. And so it really has to be a balanced approach, right? How are you thinking about people and change and talent and education and movement and giving people career paths as they think about how their jobs and their environments change with the intent and use of technology across the organization?
That's exciting. The number of changes and transformatory elements around the entire digital landscape, the emerging digital landscape in financial services. Let me go down a little different path to learn from pioneers and leaders. We love to learn from early adopters, pioneers, and leaders in the industry. Can you share a few examples in your global experience where industry leaders have already made significant progress in their digital transformation journeys?
Sure, I'll talk about a couple of partnerships that we've announced publicly. The first I'll start with is Westpac in Australia. Westpac senior leadership made a dedicated decision to actually move forward with what they're calling transforming to be a future-ready bank. And they were looking at their entire platform from the standpoint of how do we become agile? How do we think of scale? How do we think of speed? How do we do this in a controlled environment? And so we signed a multi-year partnership with Westpac to jointly work with them to think about how they create that platform of agility and speed and pace to drive their digital transformation agenda with a focus on, driving the customer experience, driving the employee experience, and being able to adapt to the market needs much more quicker. And they started out with a core platform that was focused on the data that they have on their customers and the data-driven experience that they want to create across their front, middle, and back office to respond to customers' needs. And they want to do that with real-time data insights and AI to actually analyze insights and behaviors of customers to actually look at delivering a more personalized service. And so they took that core platform, and we've been working with them to move that to the cloud. So that's really been a big driver for them in terms of driving value creation for the customers that they're serving, and it's paying off for them in big ways. So that's one area. Another I'd like to point out is Standard Chartered Bank. Different approach. They clearly also have a digital transformation agenda to be a cloud-first bank. And we've signed a multi-year partnership with them to also help them think about their approach. Different dynamic with Standard Chartered in terms of the amount of markets that they serve, right? They serve 60 plus markets around the world. And so their challenge around how they can actually roll out products and services in a consistent manner to serve customers in different markets, but also to empower their employees in a consistent manner in those markets as well, with technologies and services that allow them to do their job based, again, on analytics and data. They started out with an enterprise approach philosophy around how they wanted to manage their enterprise data to create value. So we started there with them, and they've been very focused on employee collaboration across 84,000 employees, rolling out a collaboration model using Microsoft 365 and Teams to actually drive modern productivity. So productivity and collaboration and the extent to using data and analytics to drive new products and services roll out in multiple markets was the theme there with Standard Chartered. And then Morgan Stanley, we announced a partnership with them where Morgan Stanley is aimed, they are looking at how do they accelerate transformation to actually shape new products and services in the market in a much faster way. And so we've been working with Morgan Stanley on their digital transformation agenda in a multi-cloud environment. They're working in a multi-cloud environment. They've announced that we would be their primary partner in doing that. And it's resulting in lots of areas where we're focused on the DevOps environment around how they think about developing in the cloud, how they think about transitioning existing workloads to the cloud in a way to drive cost, but also in a way to drive resiliency. And then they also, too, are moving into the employee experience around collaboration with Microsoft 365 at the core of that to drive collaboration and effectiveness across their teams. And the combination of their platform and their capabilities and the agility, they're looking at a whole set of activities that are looking at new cloud native services that they're going to look to roll out and bring to the market over the next coming months. So 3 examples of senior-driven agendas around digital transformation, partnership between business leaders and technology leaders that we're working with collectively to drive the change.
Thank you, Bill. That was great, a set of great examples from some of our largest customers globally. I'm on to my last question for you. What guidance and what suggestions would you have for the leaders that are leading these financial services institutions today, the financial services companies today? What do you have to tell them? What's an overall guidance to these leaders?
Well, the overall guidance I would say is it's an exciting time to continue to think about acceleration and time to value, to think about the bold bets that you can make, the bold impact that you can have on products and services, and being able to, broaden the market to access to financial services, to drive transparency in terms of the products and services you offer, to reach more people, to reach more institutions, to give organizations the ability to actually create economic value in the communities and environments that they do business in. Think, what more can we provide? What more data can we offer? What more products and services can we get to individuals and businesses to actually drive innovation at a faster pace? And it's an exciting time to think about the power of the technology to support that behind it. Whether it's moving to the cloud to drive scale around compute and networking and data-driven capabilities, whether it's the use of artificial intelligence across your data and infrastructure, you've got to be able to bring your data together in a manner that you can reason across it so that you can create value on that. And the reasoning across the data is important. And it's not necessarily getting the data all in one place. It's the ability to actually, to work with customers a lot to actually be able to reason on that data to drive change. The industry is all about driving deeper relationships with their customers. And that's our approach to how we work with our customers. We're about helping our financial services partners deepen their customer relationships. But there's also an aspect around how institutions need to be prioritizing their platform so that it can not only offer products and services directly to their customers, but as we all know, experiences that are going on in the marketplace is how can financial institutions extend their products and services to other ecosystems and other experiences. And we've seen that with this concept of super apps where consumers are in experience applications and they want to be able to access financial services institutions within that experience application that they're in. So financial institutions have to be able to use APIs and other technologies to extend their capabilities to other ecosystems. How do we drive transformation around deepening, but also exporting your products and services into new ecosystems? With the idea of thinking about virtual reality and augmented reality and the metaverse, those are all top of mind things around what is the platform that's going to allow institutions to offer services and capabilities in those experiences. And then lastly, I would say the challenge has to be is we all know that the effectiveness of driving change is going to be driven by what you measure. And so talking with a lot of executives and boards around what is the measurements that you have in place to actually hold the organization accountable, to hold business leaders and technology leaders accountable for your digital progress. And I would suggest that you put some strong measures in place around how you're thinking about your return on digital investments. As I said earlier, what percentage of your technology budget is driving innovation and how are you measuring the impact of that? What percent of your annual tech budget is spent on these bold digital initiatives that you think are unique value propositions that you can drive in your market? What percentage of the leaders' incentives is linked to digital transformation? So are there incentives, a portion of them that you feel are specifically tied to digital transformation in your organization? And then lastly, as I talked about earlier, culture is key. So part of culture is attracting and promoting and retaining talent that has special expertise around thinking about digital transformation. And so how are you attracting that talent and retaining that talent and holding your leaders responsible for that approach in terms of the people and the culture that you're building? So those are some things that I would stress.
Thank you so much, Bill, for your insights. It was wonderful talking to you on the work that we are doing with various leading banks and financial institutions globally. And we are also seeing similar trends in India. And we are partnering with many leading banks and financial institutions to drive their digital transformation agenda. Microsoft, with its rich ecosystem, is best positioned to partner with the banks, their transformation endeavors. And we'll be sharing more examples of these success stories and key learnings from our customers in India and around the world. Thank you all for your time today and wishing all of you the very best.
Thank you.